Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with a movie review. So the movie is brought to me by Lifetime and they just released this. It's called Black Girl Missing. Just by the title alone, I was drawn in. Yeah. This movie was definitely an eye-opener, and it also shed the light on certain situations that need to be shed the light onto. But anyways, let's get into it. So it stars Garcelle Bueves. I forgot because I hear how she pronounced her name, but y'all already know. It stars her. She plays a mom of two. Her name is Cheryl. They moved to, I believe, California. Somewhere in California, San Francisco, I believe, where the case may be. Because she's offered a new job as a VP. But come to find out, she's vice principal of one of her daughter's school, high school. So she has a daughter named Marley who's 15. She goes to school with her. And then she has an 18-year-old daughter named Lauren who goes to college not too far from the house, from where they stay at. So it starts off with Lauren doing her sister's hair. Because, mind you, they just moved into the town and they don't really know nobody. They don't really know nobody know how to do hair and stuff like that. So she's doing her hair. And while she's doing her hair, they're having a bonding moment because they recently had just lost their dad. So they're remembering all the stuff they used to do with their dad. So they was talking about how they like a certain type of ice cream or whatnot. And they was just laughing it off. And while Lauren was doing Marley's hair, the mom, Cheryl, she was in the kitchen making breakfast. So Lauren kept getting this phone call, and they had like some, I guess, demon emojis or whatever case would be, or fire emojis. And they kept calling her, and she was just like playing it off. And then once Lauren finishes Marley's braids, she decided to post it, well, take some pictures so she could post it on her Slay Saturday page that she do on Instagram, I guess, whatever. Get on Instagram. And before she can do that, she kept getting a phone call from the guy, and the mom said it was breakfast. So, she didn't get a chance to check her messages or whatever. So they go to the table to eat breakfast, and the mom wants to know how school life is with Lauren. And Lauren said she don't want to talk about it now. She'd rather talk about it later. And then, she asked Marley how was her school, how her days in schools was. And she was like, it's okay. And of course, her mom is the vice principal. So she's always going to know what's the tea and stuff like that. So they talk about it. And then her mom was like, well, why you don't want to talk about it? Lauren said, I feel depressed. I feel alone. And basically her mom just shrugged off her feelings. Like, she was like, well, you can just come back home if you feel like you're stressed and stuff like that. And her and Lauren got into a big argument. Next thing you know, Lauren storms off from the table, goes upstairs to her room, and starts packing up her clothes and leaves. So now the mom kind of feels like, she feels bad. And then her daughter, later on that morning, or maybe it was the next day, she was like, that's why Lauren left. And her mother was like, excuse me. She's like, yeah, if you wasn't so aggro, maybe, Lauren would still be here. Fast forward 2 days later, since her daughter's been missing because nobody's heard from her. While Cheryl was at work, she decides to call her daughter. She was like, listen, this is not like you, regardless of how many fights we have. Like, you always call me, and I need to make sure you're okay. She's like, this is Mom. I just want to make sure you're all right. 2 days go by, nothing. Now it's what? Later on that afternoon. While Marley was at school taking a test, she realized one of the guys was trying to cheat off her paper. And she was like, That's not cool. And then she switched the way she sat and moved her paper towards her. And then the guy called her a B. And then later on, that day before class was out, she was in the hallway, and the guy bumped her and everything. Mind you, her mom is watching. She just so happens to be in the hallway at the same time. She's watching a few feet ahead, and she's watching everything transpire. And she's like, So then Marley told her mom, she was like, listen, I could have handled it. That's just what we do. We, take it in and bear with it. And her mom didn't like that. So she also told the guy, Josh, to go to the principal's office. So after that, she gets to the principal's office and she was like, did you speak to Josh? And he was like, yeah, I did this, I did this. But mind you, his head is so focused on finding some paper they need for the superintendent that eventually she tells him where into that. And he basically just shrugged over his shoulder. Like, basically, Josh's parents is like, how would you say, a priority. I guess they pay their way through to get through the stuff so that they have less leeway with the child. So that's the type of person that they is. And the principal just shrugged it off, and the mom was like, whatever. So she ended up going to have lunch in the teacher's lounge, and there's a story on the TV, and it's about some 18-year-old white girl named Jessica Russo. She's supposed to be got kidnapped, and she's missing. And, that's all they see on the TV or whatever. So, a few more days go by. So, it's now, 6 days missing. And at this point, the mom, she goes to the police and tells them, like, my child's been missing. Because, once you're an adult, you can only do so much as a parent, regardless of how old your child is. So, it's like, So she goes to the precinct. She tells, I think she gets in contact with Detective Dean, and he's especially assigned to her case, and he tells her, like, listen, this is not much information. Right now, we only focused on one girl, and that's this Jessica Russo girl. And it's just like, nobody wants to hear her or listen to anything she got to say. So, she basically takes it into her own hands with the help of her daughter. And, they start looking around for themselves. One of her co-workers, Susan, she helps her out with the search to find her daughter. They start putting up flyers. They start calling out her name. And then while the daughter was researching one day, she happens to come across this, I guess, amateur crime-solving person. It's called Net Sleuth. So she gets in contact with them. And the mother also, coincides with what Marley's doing. And she's also backtracking at her school to see if anybody was messing with her and stuff like that. Come to find out, her roommate, I'm trying to speed this up for you guys. Her roommate was basically harassing her once she got there because she felt like, her daughter's being a stick in the mud and she's not having no good time. Like, college is supposed to be fun, but you sitting here moping around and sad and stuff like that. She was like, listen, I ain't got time for that. So that's why, she started messing with her. Also, with the help of the daughter, they was able to find out where she worked, her call logs, and she finds that, some things was like left out on purpose. Come to find out, the person she's a 16-year-old girl, but she's super smart. She basically told him, like, listen, try to figure out how to get into her accounts so that way you can see if any, like, activities going on, because they figured out that she was talking to this guy named Ian online. And, they was able to crack the code, get into her information, find the private messages between the two. And the mom was like, listen, yeah, we gonna find her. She's gonna come back home safe and sound. So, fast forward. The mom and daughter are an amazing team. Like, they did that job themselves. The whole entire time, the cops wasn't trying to do their job. They basically kept giving her a run around. And they basically didn't want to pursue her because, she's not a white girl. Henceforth, like I said, the certain things should have been, did the right way. So, but anyway, she also got in touch with this organization called Black and Missing Foundation, where the co-founder or founder named Loretta, she helped put together this kind of, like, I would say, rally to, help find Lauren. and people from like Oklahoma came in to show their support and put up flyers so that they could help. And oh, sorry guys. And you know, get the awareness out. And it started growing buzz. And then people from the precinct, they was looking like, well, dang. Yeah, they didn't put forth no effort to really help or anything. So, long story short, like I said, with the help of the daughter Marley, they put their brains together and they was able to figure out where she was. Also, Ian was a fake person. The real person actually worked at the store, at this record store by her college, and his real name was Charlie, but he had nothing to do with that, so he was like, listen, I'm going to file a police report. Come to find out, the guy that she was supposed to meet up, that was supposed to be Ian, was some old man somewhere in, like, the middle of nowhere, but I guess behind her college, had her held captive for 2 weeks. Yeah, she was badly beaten. She was sexually assaulted. It was just sad. The mom, perseverance, like her gut intuition told her, listen, my baby's out there alive and I'm going to find her. She did that. She found her baby. She was able to rescue her from out the house. But the abductor was able to like fight off the mom, and the mom fought back. And, you know, just in time before the Cheryl and Lauren was about to leave the premises, the cops showed up right on time. Like, that was like a blessing in disguise, because if they wouldn't have showed up a little faster than what they did, I think they probably both wouldn't have been here. And it's crazy because social media and law enforcement rather put more prejudice or precedent of a non-black person than a black person, when everybody's lives matter regardless of their skin color. Like, had they been like full force on trying to find Lauren at the same opportunity they did was trying to find Jessica, they would have had a better outcome. But come to find out, Jessica supposedly hired her own kidnapping and stuff like this, so it was like a slap in the face. Like, yeah, I wanted to do all this hard body work and resources for this girl, and she did this to herself. Mind you, the one that actually needed your help was really kidnapped and held captive for 2 weeks, and without her mother's perseverance and sister's persistence, they wouldn't have been able to find her. So, yeah, this is definitely a great movie. I definitely recommend y'all to watch it. It's on Lifetime, and of course, you can watch it on the Lifetime app. I'm not sure how long it's going to be out, but yeah, y'all can check it out there. Also, this is based on true events that's happened all around the world. This is an excerpt they did after the movie was over. It's called Beyond the Headlines. So it's 2 girls. One's 14-year-old girl named Kyla Flagg, and then a 15-year-old girl, I think she's from Florida. Her name is Janiyah Walker. So 14-year-old Kyla Flagg, she lives in Schenectady, Georgia. She was visiting her dad, and they had just went out to eat and came back home, you know, to have some family time with each other, and then they decided to go their separate ways. So, mind you, the dad is in his room watching TV, and she's in her room. She ends up like changing her clothes and her hairstyle or whatever. Come to find out, she's been talking to some person online. It's a guy, of course. And the dad ends up dozing off. She goes to check on him twice, and, you know, she notices the second time he's asleep. So, he eventually wakes up like a few minutes later, whatever, so, and he realizes his daughter's not there, so he's calling her name, and then he also goes out to check the block where she's not been known to walk at, and then he comes back home and calls his ex-wife and lets her know that their daughter's missing. So now the mom is coming over to the house, and they call the police, and then the police asks for her computer. They give it to her, but come to find out she has some Microsoft inscription on it that nobody can crack. Then they find out that the dad found out that the police wasn't trying to do that much work. So they get in touch with the FBI, the private investigator, do the same thing. Couldn't find nobody could crack the code on the laptop. And they realized that that's not her doing. Maybe somebody forced her to do that. So the dad was looking through some things, and he was able to find the old laptop he had before he got that one, and they both shared the password and stuff like that. So he found out that somebody bought her an iPhone, and they was able to track the IP address to a place in Texas. They get to Texas, they find the guy that took her, and they come to find out the same. While they have a Ring camera at the house, so he looked back at the cameras and he realized there was a white SUV pulling up into the house, but you can only see so far that you can't even see that the girl got into the car. So they get to Texas. The cops find out that, you know, they find the man, and they find that same white car at his job. So they take him into custody. Come to find out, the guy says, listen, she's not here. She's with another guy in Connecticut. Another guy. So basically it was just like a trade-off, kind of like sex trafficking. So after that, the police was able to get in contact with the guy who took her to Connecticut. Long story short, they basically both abductors raped her, they abused her, sodomized her, and they altered her appearance a little bit. They cut her hair and everything. But in the long run, the parents were just happy that she was found safe and sound. And, you know, they brought her home. To this day, she has not talked about her experience and what she went through. She's just happy to be alive and be with her family. Now, the next person, but I don't understand this, like, you gotta be mindful of who your children are talking to online, regardless if you want them to have privacy or not, because stuff like this happens on a daily, and this could have been a lot worse in her case. Like, so bad. It should be a wake-up call to know not to trust everybody you talk to online, because there are dangerous predators out there, and they're willing to lure you away from your family and loved ones, regardless if you think you're loved or not. So next one we have is Janiyah Walker. She was a 15-year-old student, straight A student. She had a job and everything. One day, she ended up becoming missing. Come to find out with the help of her mom, she was sexually assaulted by somebody she knew when she was younger. So she also was suffering from PTSD, depression, and a whole other slew of bad things that shouldn't be happening to a young girl. So come to find out, she's missing, and somebody had bought her a backpack, and the backpack was missing. So basically somebody was planning on taking her from the get-go, or she knew somebody in general, because, you know, she obviously been talking to this person for a long time. So it's really nothing much on her case. She's still missing to this day, literally to this day. And she's been missing since June of last year, June 22nd, 22. So yeah, as of now, she's missing. She should be going on 16 now, and her mom is still holding out hope. Her sisters are still holding out hope that she's still alive, and that she could come back home safe and sound, because that's a mother's nightmare. Nobody wants to hear that their child is missing, and you don't know what to do. You're at your wits' ends trying to figure out their last whereabouts. You're checking out their jobs and everything, and it's still you're still at number one. So it's like, it's a lot, and I really hope that, you know, people do come forward if they see something. Say something. And you can also check out the Black and Missing Foundation to, you know, if you see anything, let them know, so that they can help bring more closures and families back home together, so that, you know, everybody's not living this nightmare of their child being missing. And I wish all Black people had the same opportunities of resources when their loved ones go missing, that they could come back safe and sound. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this recap, and I hope y'all check out the movie. It's called Black Girl Missing on Lifetime. You can also check it on the Lifetime app. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.